and welcome to At Your End Step. My name is Morgan. I'm here with Mike.
Hello.
And Dave.
Hi.
And you may have noticed a little bit of a different opening to At Your End Step. We typically, give a shout out to Comic Town, of course, our sponsor of the show. But we actually have some exciting news that I wanted to, start off the show with right off the top. So, Comic Town is still, of course, going to be a sponsor of At Your End Step, but we actually have a new partnership actually with BCW Supplies. So yay! Partnership, yay!
La, la, la.
And basically what this really means for us is it gives us more availability to give back to our listeners and to the community. It allows us to do fun and exciting things like giveaways and produce more content for the At Your End Step brand and kind of really expand that into other things that we up until this point in time haven't really been able to do. So through this partnership with BCW, it really allows us to kind of fulfill those ideals that we have for what we as a cast want At Your End Step to be. So it's something that we've been working on for months and months and months, and finally have the opportunity to announce it to you all. So. Next week we'll have a new runner that'll air before the show, and I'll have to record it, and hopefully it'll be really sweet. And but yeah, so that's kind of the big news to start off the show. So we'll go into obviously BCW is a huge portion of they also do sponsor the Metagame Gurus, so we're going to be talking about some of the Challenger Guru events. They're going to be happening typically following the Open series as well, so you guys will be able to find out more information about that, and we'll talk about that. And I know they're having a very exciting weekend this weekend, in fact, because they're going to be announcing new team members. And as we and Magic as a whole has a larger focus on the team aspect, it's going to be really nice to be able to focus on Team Metagame Gurus and see where that team dynamic kind of takes them and Magic as a whole too. But we will talk a little bit more about that later. We obviously have a lot of stuff to talk about in the community. So Modern Masters 2017, we got the full spoiler for that and a few other things we're going to touch on. And then, of course, we want to talk about what happened in the events over the weekend. And then lastly, kind of end the show with a typical wrap-up. And that's about it. So, yeah, let's jump into the community segment. So, whole spoiler for Modern Masters 2017. We have it. It's ours. What do we think of it?
Still great,
Still great?
in my opinion.
Is it the GOAT? Is it the greatest set of all time?
It got a little worse.
Yeah, obviously. It can really only go down, realistically, unless they're like, so we're giving you $100 bills in every pack.
Well, I don't know. I still think they did a good job of even the rares that we do get of putting in rares that are going to be fun to draft, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, we knew there was going to be a value dump at the end.
Sure.
But I think the set looks incredibly fun. And there's a lot of things here that I think between the rarity shifts that we've looked at and that we got to look at, and there's a bunch of just rares that are common, uncommon now, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really excited to see how this set feels, because I think it feels out of the 3 Modern Masters sets we've gotten, and I'll count Turtle Masters here too, this set feels like the most cohesive as a draft format to me. Mm-hmm. Now, I think the first Modern Masters did a great job of having archetypes you could draft, but didn't do much else besides the archetypes.
Yeah.
This feels like you really have sort of a sandbox here. Archetypes are available. You can play 3 colors or more. You can kind of do what you want, and you can really let what cards you open sort of lead you in fun directions in a draft format like this. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying there. The first Modern Masters had Vivid Lands, and there was a 5-color green archetype that you could draft, but it felt like that was one deck that you could draft, but didn't feel like you could just play any basically if you weren't playing green, it didn't. I don't think you could really try to go that route.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, like you have so much fixing that, like you said, you have kind of more leeway to kind of do what you want to do. So that's always, in my opinion, that those make the best limited formats, just because, you know, you do kind of have like the rails that you can be on if you want to be like in a certain archetype, but it's not completely terrible to go off the rails and try to draft like a 3 or 4 color deck. You know?
Yeah, and make your own, just like, because I felt like the good stuff decks in the last 2 Modern Masters formats were not, like, they felt bad. They felt like you messed up somehow and you're trying to get into these things. Whereas this one feels like, man, good stuff may just be the thing you want to do. Depending,
Right.
you know, but yeah, so
You're not just playing like a bunch of like Dragon Soul Knights or what have you.
Exactly.
It's just like cool.
God. Well, I drafted all of the 2/2 Changeling Birds, so that's my deck. I hope they get there. No, but in all seriousness, like I think there's a lot to really, really love here, and I think that there's such a huge amount of like different, even like cool interactions you can see here. Like I think you just go through the spoiler and you start looking at like some of the interactions and some of the things these decks can do. I don't know, I'm just really pumped.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm doubly pumped too, and I know Morgan is too for cubes.
Yes.
There are some, like Mike mentioned, there are some downshifts in rarity. So some cards that used to be rare are now uncommon. So things like
Some things that used to be rare are now common.
yeah,
One
we get
thing.
that. Yeah, we went
One
all the way
thing.
down to common. Yeah.
Mortician Beetle, come on.
Yeah, Mortician Beetle, which like isn't a super exciting card, but there is like a sacrifice theme
Yeah.
in my cube, so that's like pretty nice to have a card that supplements that a little bit.
Yeah, and it's just it's another like payoff for my cube if I wanted to build it in. You don't get the best payoff, which is Goblin Bombardment. Sadly, that's an uncommon. Always has been. Maybe someday won't.
Also not in Modern.
Yeah, not in Modern either. So, but
yeah, I mean, so you have an all commons cube,
yes.
and I have a common and uncommon cube.
Yes.
If-
And
if
I'm
you
going to
don't
have a
know.
Modern Masters 2017 cube, I think, pretty soon.
But yeah, there are a lot of like shifts within the rarity, which happens a lot with any sort of master set. We typically see them be a little bit more liberal with what they're doing, but this is it feels like this is the most. Besides any, like maybe some of the online only ones.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you have like a pauper cube,
Yeah.
like there were a lot of things that were downshifted to common.
Yeah, it's like 10 or more.
So, but yeah, so that kind of stuff is exciting. Like that's always like, if you do have a cube or like anything like that, that's kind of like just an extra thing to look at, or like you can view the set through a little bit of a different lens.
Yeah.
So it's like on top of all the exciting, rares and value cards that you're going to have in the set, it's like that's another thing to look forward to. So
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it looks awesome. I really can't wait to get our hands on the set and actually play with it. So it's very, very exciting.
And I think, because I think when we talked about this last week, like, I mentioned the value went down a little bit, but actually compared to when we talked last week, we did get things like Tarmogoyf confirmed and stuff like that. So like drafting it will be fun, but this set really does offer you a chance to, like, between fetches at rare and everything else, like to do like the sweet, like pay a bunch of money for a draft, have a good chance at like breaking even on the draft while also getting to draft a sweet format.
Yeah.
Which I think like the last Modern Master set, you did not feel that way. Like it was so boom or bust. It was just like, oh cool, 3 Garbos. Now that you have a higher chance of like seeing, getting good gameplay, but also a sweet card too.
Yeah, exactly. And that feels really good. And plus, like, hopefully we will see that with Eternal Masters we got a larger than potentially what was expected print run. So hopefully that's the same thing that we get here. I think that would be pretty swell. It'd be good for the player base, maybe not so good for the stores, but I mean, it's definitely something that hopefully happens. Just with the sheer fact that, like, if you're gonna put fetch lands in something, man, you gotta print it.
Yeah.
It feels like if you don't, then you're not really trying.
I think it would be good for the stores too, right? Like they
Well,
get
it's
to just sell a
suggesting
bunch
that
of packs.
They've lost money on like
Their singles, yeah.
But I think like so MTG Goldfish, which honestly has just been really killing it with content for a while.
Oh, yeah.
But they had a really good article about like how you should treat Modern Master sets as far as buying singles, and it's like people want card prices just go down, and they do. He's like, but the author. I'm not sure if it was who the actual author was. I'm not sure if it was Saffron Olive or not. But essentially, was saying though that like, if you want, like, if you actively are playing Modern and you want to buy into Modern, then you have to realize that everyone else wants to buy into Modern when it's cheap too. And Modern Masters sets aren't designed to permanently lower the prices of cards. They're designed to make them a little bit more affordable, and then to let other players get into the game who didn't have access to those cards in the first place. He's like, so what you need to do then, and the stores recognize this too, is that Modern Masters 2017 is a sale. You know what I mean? That sale might last for a month. That sale might last for 6 months, depending on the cards. But and if you look at things like Damnation, that went down from $60 to like $30 to $40 right now. Like you got a 50% off sale. You know what I mean? Like if you could walk
Act
into
now.
They said literally if you could walk into like a electronics store and just be like, well, this is 50% off because we made more of them than we thought we did, you would probably be very happy. And that's exactly what's happening here. So if you're expecting like Tarmogoyf then to be cheaper for the long run because of this, that is just misunderstanding how the growth of this game works. But if you have been waiting to buy Tarmogoyfs and you wanted to get them while they were possibly sub $100 again,
now's your time.
Hey, fire sale.
So I gotta say, like, I guess the opposite end of the spectrum on that is like the cards that didn't get reprinted in Modern Masters.
Well, that is
you
true.
Usually we'll see a spike. So Mishra's Bauble being example number one of like a card.
Mishra Bauble now an Aether Vial level uncommon.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
it's more expensive than that.
Yeah. Well, Aether Vial's been reprinted at Rare, but been reprinted.
Sure. Things like I'm glad I picked up Noble Hierarchs when I did in Baltimore.
Yeah,
because
high five.
those are now
High five
$70.
to own those.
So yeah, like I think Ancestral Vision to me. And I'm not going to complain because I think the set is great and I think they hit most of the cards that they could have. But Ancestral Vision was like a card to me that was like I didn't really understand why it was $50 because it's not really widely played. It does see some legacy play, not really widely played in Modern. It has seen a second printing. It was in like the dual deck, right? And it's just like I don't know. To me, it not really deserving of like a $50 price tag, and now it's like not in this set, so it's just gonna go up. It's like, eh.
I think the thing that like surprised me the most. So if you look, I'll mention Chase Andres, who writes for Star City. It's premium. I apologize, but he does great finance articles, and he wrote about like the financial implications of this. And he literally would just write for each color, was writing a list of cards that like didn't get reprinted that are high profile, and like the large list of cards that were just like. One, prices that would shock you, I think. Not to sound BuzzFeed on this, but like
click here to see 10 shocking
right?
Magic the Gathering card prices.
Like,
wow!
I think this set is still a home run, but like just based on the size of these sets and the fact that they do them as sets is not just like like put a nickel in and see what rare you get out of the slot. You know what I mean? There's just so many cards that are going to be missed. And and I think it's more than I even thought. It was like because when I looked at this set, I was like, man, there's so many good like value reprints here that needed it. And then I go look at that list, and I think if you read that article, you would think like they missed up. They missed all these cards.
No, yeah, like you can't hit everything, and like you can't just put all the rares can't just be all cards that are $20 and up or whatever.
They could,
but they're not going to.
No, obviously not.
So, I mean, it is what it is. But I still think, this is, to me, easily the best Modern Masters set. And I think they really went for it on this one, I feel like. They were kind of holding back a little bit maybe on the previous ones where, like, they weren't really sure how it was going to affect the card prices. And now with the increased print run and the way I feel like they really attacked it this time and were like aggressive in like reprinting cards. I like it, even though my personal collection goes down in value. I'm totally fine with that if it means that more people can play Magic and can get into Modern if they want to. So
yeah, I think that's a good note to leave Modern Masters 2017 on. Let's go ahead and move into. Probably one of the coolest announcements, in my opinion, just for the sheer fact, like it's like an immediate like response. So Star City Games has announced that Louisville, the Open in Louisville, which is going to be happening May 20th through the 21st, is changing from standard to team constructed. That's awesome.
Woo woo.
That is great. That they clearly saw like the actual response that they got from the tournament in Baltimore, and they were like, "We need to do this," and they figured out a way to do it as soon as possible, which is only a few months away. And Louisville, great city. Apparently, you have to watch where you drive, based on some information that Jordan recently told us. And make sure you pay your tolls when you go through toll roads. But regardless of that, great city. You can go to Game, which is a great burger place, and it's awesome. Like I do hope that I can figure out a way to go to this. I don't know if that's going to be feasible or not, but I know, Dave, you're busy.
Yeah, I went from being like extremely excited to then I realized when it was happening, and it's like definitely happening like on my wedding anniversary.
It's kind of important.
So it's probably not going to happen for me tournament, but that's okay.
And I think Jordan may also, like I said, be out. So
correct,
Morgan. We got to find us a legacy player.
We know people that play legacy.
We do,
and we're fun people. So hopefully we can find someone that'll put up with us for like the weekend.
To play in a Sweet Team event, I think it's doable.
I hope so. I certainly do. But I just appreciate the how rapid they responded.
I think it's they had plans to have one in season 2. Mm. Now this is at the tail end of season 1,
right?
So like you said, I mean the response was just awesome. Like it was very, I guess, unexpected. And they increased the cap too, so they had a 300 team cap in Baltimore, and Louisville's going to be 350 teams.
Wow!
So that's another good change as well.
That's a lot of people,
and I'm sure they will hit that cap as well.
Oh yeah,
given the response to Baltimore, the overall positivity to it. So.
Sure. Well, on that note, hope we see a lot of people in Louisville. It's a great place to go play Magic, and it's something that. It's an awesome event. Like we had, Mike and I had such a good time in Baltimore, so would not want to miss the next one that's coming up as soon as possible. So,
and it's closer.
It is closer
to
which
us.
Is the best part. Yeah, closer to us. So
closer to us is all that our listeners really care about. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's more convenient for us to travel there. Like you should be appreciative of that. We have some breaking news here. We can consider this an at your end step PSA, if you will.
I thought you were doing a haunted doll watch.
No, that would be. I don't want to get sued.
Wrong podcast.
Wrong podcast. Grand Prix New Jersey, an upcoming GP that's going to be happening. It's going to be happening so close to this weekend. Actually, very important. Is requiring consent, a consent form to be submitted online by Friday. At 10 p.m. So those who do not do this will be dropped from the tournament.
Yeah.
So please, we implore you, if you are going to GP New Jersey this weekend, fill out the consent form.
Yeah, this is really awkward. And the consent form itself is nothing new. Usually you'll have to sign those. You'll see them on the back of deck lists or whatever. And usually, you're doing it the day of, when you do your deck list, sure. And I don't think anybody even really thinks about it at this point, But this kind of came out of nowhere, I think, last night. And people were emailed about it, saying like, oh, hey, make sure you do this.
Correct.
So...
And the issue with email is I don't know if you've all used email. Sometimes, things go to your spam folder. And you don't get them. You don't receive them. So this is us at your end step doing your part, doing our due diligence to let people know that you need to fill out this consent form by Friday at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
So please don't get dropped from your tournament. We want you to be there. I'm sure you want to be there too. Fill out your consent form, please. And this has been a public service announcement.
Man, wouldn't it just been better if their announcement was GP New Jersey is now team constructed too?
Yeah, unfortunately, Wizards doesn't seem to have that amount of turnaround time.
It's unfortunate. I think their PR would have been better.
Probably. But yeah, that has been your public service announcement from At Your End Step. All right. Next up, we have an awesome, potentially awesome Magic Online announcement. They're bringing in a new kind of cube. It's going to be Modern Cube.
It's gonna be a sphere. Does that do it?
No.
Oh, all right.
So this is going to be a cube, obviously focused around, modern cards. I don't know if it's going to be cards that are all playable in modern, or if there's going to be some banned cards or anything like that, which is probably something we should have done, doing a little thing called research. But the only cube that I truly acknowledge as being a valid cube is Vintage Cube, right? That's the only one that's holiday cube, I guess, right? Is what it's called.
I'm looking at it now. No Jason the Mind Sculptor.
No Jason the Mind Sculptor.
So I would guess that means
it's
only modern legal cards?
Assumedly. Which is obviously a vast amount of cards, and maybe it'll allow some light to shine on some favorites that aren't necessarily, modern constructed playable, but are, fun to play nonetheless. So that's going to be a thing. It actually starts tomorrow, March 8th, and runs through the 22nd. So by the time you're listening to this, you'll be able to play some Modern Cube.
Yeah. I just got to say, I'm kind of sad that they only ran the invasion block drafts for a week because I haven't gotten to draft it yet, and that was probably my personal favorite.
That was your
format.
jam?
That was my jam. That was back when I played a lot of limited, and I probably drafted that block more than any other. So probably going to miss out on it this time. So I guess I'll have to hit it up next time it comes around in the throwback drafts or whatever.
Yeah. All right. Next, we have the announcement for Announcement Day.
The announcement of an announcement.
Yeah. So
Hear ye.
So Announcement Day is something that Wizards did, I think, the first time last year, I believe.
Yes.
And we'd already kind of gone past the year of that happening, so people were kind of wondering if it was going to be happening again, and it is. But it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a live Twitch stream on the 31st of March from F&M at Meeple's Games in Seattle. So it'll be a live Twitch stream that you'll be able to watch, and you'll be able to see the remaining sets for 2017 and some of 2018. Which is pretty interesting. It gets people to come out and watch a live stream, and maybe they could do a bit more production and get people a little bit more hyped for what's going to be happening instead of just releasing an article and having it be that. So we'll report more on it once it happens, and hopefully we'll have some cool stuff to be coming out in the upcoming year and beyond. But I believe that is everything for the community, so we wanted to talk about our sponsors here. So first and foremost, Comic Town. They're still having registration for the Modern Masters 2017 Expo they're going to be having. They recently updated it, so the cap is now going from 64 people to 100. And of course, they're also going to be expanding the prize payout as well to the top 24 players. So it is $75 to enter. Even though it is, expanded, it is still going to be only 100 people. So the seating is still limited. So it's still something that you want to, get locked up if it is something you want to do for sure as soon as possible.
And I think, Dave, you checked on this. It was half full, essentially, now with the new.
Yeah, so it's about half full at this point. We still have about a week and a half until the actual event happens.
Correct.
But obviously, as we get closer to it, it's going to fill up, and I fully expect it to sell out. So.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if there ends up being a wait list Saturday morning.
Right.
So
I mean, again, we talked about this a little last week. If this is something that you are interested in going to, I recommend pre-registering sooner rather than later, just to make sure that you lock in your spot for this. It's going to be a super unique event. You're probably not going to get to play too much Modern Masters Sealed.
This is my GP Modern Masters.
Right. Yeah. It's just going to be super fun. Now seeing the whole set, seeing all the commons and uncommons, you kind of get a better feel for how the limited is going to play out. It's going to be awesome.
And that's pretty awesome. The F&M before that event, so Friday the 17th, Comic Town's Modern F&M is going to pay out in Modern Masters packs. So that's pretty sweet. Can't can't say I'm going to probably play in that though, because there will probably be some sweet drafts firing that night too, and that just sounds better. Maybe both. Double Q the sweet
But
drafts.
you can play modern to
And
get
get
packs,
packs to
then
draft?
to draft with. Yes.
It's too many options. They're all good though. And then it says on the 19th on Sunday, so that Saturday play our Modern Masters Expo, play some sealed. Sunday come back, play a modern SCG IQ, which is pretty insane. Like this is like just call this modern weekend and be done with it. Like this is awesome. Maybe you need some cards for your modern deck on Sunday from Modern Masters 2017. Well, this would be the weekend to get them to play your deck. And that's a $30 entry, 12 p.m. player meeting. This is the new style of IQ, so the 1K prize payout with 2 finalists earning invites to the open or to the invitational. I mean, so it's pretty awesome.
Yep.
And then their Monday night modern event. So modern weekend plus.
yeah, we're doing 4-day weekend for this one.
Their Monday night modern will also pay out in Modern Master 17 packs. So Comic Town next weekend is the place to be for Modern Masters. And I think they also said they're going to be announcing more information about how their drafts are going to be working that weekend too. So pretty pumped.
Yeah, I'm sad that for me personally, I'm probably only going to get to play in the Expo, but that's like the biggest event.
That's
But-
still fine.
Yeah, but I want to play in all of them. But it's just so it's not for lack of wanting.
It's like a little kid, and it's like, but I want to bring all my toys.
Yeah,
Mom says,
I want to
pick
eat.
one.
I want to eat all the chocolate. But,
Also, with this upcoming weekend, we do have Team MGG Metagame Gurus. They're actually going to have a Challenge a Guru event in Plano, Texas, at the Madness Comics and Games store. So this is going to be happening during the FNM before the Open, basically. And we've been to these Challenger Guru events, and they're really awesome. You basically go up and challenge any one of the team members that are in attendance in any of the constructed formats. So Modern, Legacy, and Standard. And if you win, you do get a piece of BCW's swag, and I think you get a T-shirt, right?
Can confirm you get a T-shirt.
have you done this before?
Oh, I have challenged a guru and I have won. But no, I'm not one of the secret Metagame Guru new members. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
but
none of us are
It's awesome
at all.
when they do this. Like they've done this at Comic Town a number of times, and it's great. They tend to bring in door prizes for the FNM events, and then you could just they'll sign you up on a list. You go challenge them, you win. Like playing against them, the guys is always nice. They're super friendly. They'll play whatever format you want to play, pretty much. And if you beat them, you get generally before we've gotten deck lockers, which these deck lockers are awesome. And it's getting them for just playing a game of Magic that you were already going to play at your FNM feels pretty good.
Oh yeah, for sure. And let me take a look there. And again, over the weekend, definitely keep an eye on the Metagame Gurus, the MGG Facebook page. They're going to be announcing their new team members, so definitely keep your eye on that. And they are going to be split between the two events that are happening over the weekend. So half of the team will be in New Jersey, and half the team's going to be in Dallas-Fort Worth. So.
And that's pretty cool to sort of hit both events and have that new announcement. Like, this last week, like before we even had total confirmation of what we were doing. Like I saw that they had updated their page and they had the new graphic, and I was like, all right, I'm going to follow this. And it's been kind of cool seeing this week the updates. And I think they've had some cool Q&A things pop up on the Metagame Gurus page, so you can sort of guess some of the players possibly. But Jim Davis is the only one that they have confirmed thus far.
Yeah. So, we are in just as much suspense as you guys are. We don't know who's going to be on the team.
They would not tell us, sadly.
So we're excited to see who's going to be on there as well. But
wait, they wouldn't tell. It could be me then.
It could be all three of us, right? Well, they had 3 new members.
Just wake up and oh, I'm in New Jersey. Well, that's weird. I don't know.
How did I get here?
They are true magicians.
I feel like we've done that joke before. This is not my.
I don't care. Wow. We're gonna okay, yeah. I wasn't going with the Talking Heads thing again. But
Yeah.
sure, fair enough. You're right.
Yeah, I feel like
You're
we've done
right.
that. Anyway,
Can we
moving.
do a different Talking Head song. The Cool for Cats.
I'm not a Talking Heads.
That's the one that was on Rock Band. It was ridiculous. It's
Oh,
Cool for
okay.
Cats. That's
Fair
it.
enough.
I think that's the whole song
Cool.
for cats.
Yep. All right, moving on. So competitive segment. So we had the RPTQ that Mike attended on last Sunday, of course. It was held in Pittsburgh.
Monroeville, technically.
Monroeville, not Pittsburgh proper. You got me there. And we do want to give a quick shout out here to a local player, a friend of ours, Chris Peterson. He qualified through this tournament for his first ever PT. So congrats, hats off to you, sir. He's actually a real stand-up guy in our community, and have never had a negative interaction with the gentleman at all, and has always been just a really cool guy. So it's awesome to see him qualify for his first pro tour here. So again, hats off to you, sir.
Yeah, he was in the car with me, and he went undefeated through the event. Like went 5-0 double draw in, and then win his top 8 match too. So like
That's
he had
always
the
nice.
he had the sweet just perfect tournament.
Sure, that's amazing. I mean, what more could you ask for?
Well, I could have asked for more.
Okay, Mike, regale us with the tale of your tournament.
I will say, if you want to know what Chris played, he played straight up Jeskai Sahili with a couple of spices.
Jeskai or 4-color?
He played Jeskai.
Huh?
He played against 4-color 5 times out of the 6 matches he played of Magic, and I think Modern Vehicles once. And he beat up on it pretty good. So I played Red Black Zombies, like I said I was going to play. I do want to take first thing quick shout out. I had not been to Mr. Nice Guy games before. I have seen like their booths at like Gen Con and like Origins and stuff, and always really nice people. But their store was immaculate, large, clean. Just it was a nice store to be at. And they ran a great tournament. It went pretty quickly. I myself did a pretty mediocre 4-3. Had some I just had some matches that did not go my way. Had a couple of games that really felt like decision making wasn't important. I lost twice to Mardu Vehicles, once to another person in our car, which was really the really fun matchup when you're like, oh good, I'm glad I drove here with you. But they all came down to game 3s where my opponent's draw steps were very, very kind. Or in the case of my my second one, I had to mulligan in a game 3 and just like on the draw, missed just infinite land drops. So it was just one of those things where it was just like, all right, hand is good. Just need to hit like one land to fix this up, and then it was get curved out on while you struggle to find lands, and it's just like mulligan into mana issues to get your second loss of an RPTU does not feel good. So. And it was just rough. I lost a good matchup to a 4-color Sahili player who, again, it just drew very, very well. And I think I made like a bad decision, I think, in game 1, but numbers wise, it did not end up like mattering. And then he just, I don't know, it just felt like I was drawing very mediocrely into some games. I don't want to make that sound like I'm just complaining about that. It just you can feel when you are not hitting the draw steps you might need to hit.
Just wasn't your day.
Yeah, it's just what it felt like. And like it certainly wasn't my day. I was like 2-2 or 2-3, and got paired against a friend of the show, Elliot, who had a much worse day than I did. He went 1-6. And to his credit, he stayed in the tournament. Like we were all there in the same car. So
Is that what we call the Niels Norlander? Sorry, Niels. We're always like crapping on him, but yeah.
but I had to play. I got paired against him when I had 6 match points and he had 0. And I skipped all of the 3-pointers who were still in the tournament. And it was like, oh, what? How do we ask the judges? They're like, this is peculiar, but it does happen sometimes. Like, oh, okay. And then my breakers got destroyed. Like I won round 1 and was not that bad. Then got that matchup. Breakers got destroyed and was one of the 12-pointers to not even prize. So it was overall a rough beats kind of tournament.
So the lesson is, Elliot, win more matches.
Well, that's definitely true.
Yeah.
What's crazy is he played the same Jeskai Sahili list pretty much as Chris Peterson. Like, he just like this is how the standard format really is. You know what I mean? Like I said,
He was playing like if you watch Stranger Things, he had like the upside down version. Where instead of like going undefeated, he just won one match.
But so yeah, it was a frustrating tournament, and there's a lot of added mental pressure when you're sitting in those tournaments. So a loss is a loss, but a loss like your second loss at an RPTU, you just sit there for a little while and sort of ruminate and hate everything. It was I just want to go to bed. I want to go home. I want to be in my bed. I don't want to be here anymore.
Why am I here right now?
So, I was actually still happy with my my deck choice. I will say that room was pretty much all Mardu and Jeskai Saheeli. Like I did beat Black Green in the middle of the day, but there wasn't much of it hanging around. And the top 8 was pretty much all Jeskai, or it's just some Saheeli variants, either Jeskai or 4-color, and like Mardu vehicles. So, and from what I saw on Twitter, that was pretty much all the RPTQs were like, especially a bunch of the European ones that a couple of players were mentioning. Like we're talking about like 6 or 7 copies of like either 4-color Saheeli or like Mardu in a top 8, and that's worrisome. But
just wait until we talk about the mocks.
But overall, it was not a great tournament as far as like how I played, but I really enjoyed it. And the RPTQ system, like it's not perfect, but it's still doing its job. And you got another player who again, like Chris has not been to a Pro Tour before, got qualified, got his envelope, and gets to go do that. And I was really happy for him. So
I'm always happy to see good people and people that have played for a while get that first invite. It's like I remember what that was like, and it's just awesome. It's just like
I will
just really
say,
happy.
I agree. He did it in a very stacked room too. I got to tell you, one of the other players to qualify via this top 4, Kyle Balgamus. You know what I mean? Room had a lot of good players and like a number of like silver pros who were able to come out and still qualify or for the flights, that sort of thing. Dan Musser, we talked to him for a little while. He missed right at the last round, so yeah, it was it was a pretty stacked room. So again, Chris navigated a tough field to break through. So, but. I guess that's all I got to say for the RPTQ.
Fair enough. I'm sorry that you didn't qualify. That is disappointing, but get him next time.
Thanks, Dad.
You're welcome. You want to go get some ice cream?
Champ.
Yes. Can we pause?
I wish we could.
I would actually love right now if we just paused and went and got ice cream, and then the next sound that they heard was just us just eating like ice crece cones.
Mouth noises.
just straight mouth noises. No, we probably shouldn't. Plus, it's like it's almost 10 o'clock here at night.
Will keep me up? Will ruin my sleep schedule?
You do it. You do it
Maybe.
school in the morning.
I remember when you were cool, Dad.
It's all right. You're not my real son, so who cares?
Whoa!
Whoa!
This is the kind of thing you
That's
say on like
that's a heck of a way to break it to him.
like fake live air. Like what?
You're gonna find out one way or another, man.
What was the other way I was going to find out?
I don't know.
It probably was the age. It was the age. I think because
Definitely.
I'm older than you.
Facts. Completely accurate. All right, so let's talk about the Magic Online Championship. It was Kaladesh, Aether Revolt draft, and Standard, of course.
Apparently, it was also supposed to be Legacy and Modern, but they cut that out.
Oh, interesting.
But whatever, that's fine.
That's
Maybe it's not fine, but
yeah, probably not. When we actually get talk about the event. So this event was a little bit different. All the players were still at one central location. They were still were they at WotC headquarters?
yes.
Yeah, they're in Seattle.
So they were in Seattle. The commentators were everywhere, all across the lovely United States of
All
America.
around the world, statues crumbled for them.
No, just in the U.S. Just that's only where the statues were crumbling.
All right, never mind.
As far as I know, they didn't have any international
Commentators.
as far as I know.
No.
To be fair, we really didn't know where the commentators were commentating from. It could have been
Yeah.
anywhere.
Where was Reduke really?
Yeah, where was he?
Where in the world is Reduke commentating?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm glad you found a way for it to fit.
He did have a.
I was worried, but then he figured it out.
It was processing halfway through,
Yeah.
so it was good.
Yeah,
All I know is wherever he was, he had a sweet lamp in the background. So.
yeah. That was apparently
What a weird thing to say about a premiere event.
Some
I love
some
lamp.
Twitter buzz. I love lamp.
Did you hear the other thing about Reduke on Twitter this last week?
Oh, the hockey player.
the hockey player.
Oh yeah, he got signed with the Las Vegas team.
Yeah.
Good on you, Reed Duke. Such a jack of all trades.
Yeah, I guess his he was getting blown up in the mentions on Twitter.
On Twitter, yeah.
If he came to Columbus, he could be a Blue Jacket of all trades.
There you go. It's true.
It's a hockey team here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Anyway, let's give a shout out to the winner, Josh Layton, Raptor. Congrats on winning the Magic Online Championship. You are a Magic Online champion, which I really think means that you've probably just dealt with a lot of the Magic bugs like the best. You're a champion at that,
and that
slaying them. Wow.
Does that mean like you have a future of going 4-12 at the World Championship? So you have that to look forward to.
Hopefully not.
This is that is probably the
Yeah.
most esteemed like that slot has been since Reed Duke took it, right?
Yeah.
Which was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Like Raptors
that
obviously
was
been on
even,
a
like-
tear, so
That was even before like Reed Duke really like broke out.
yeah.
So, but yeah, he was playing Mardu Ballista. He defeated Lucas Blohon, another decently well-known player who was playing Four Colors Saheeli. And the other two decks in the top 8 were also Mardu and Four Colors Saheeli. Diverse, standard format. And the other two players were Marcio Caballo and then Ryusuke Urase.
Yeah, and if you look at the full breakdown of the standard decks, you had 8 Mardu variants,
Ooh.
Ballista and vehicles. So half the field was Mardu. You had 5 4-color Saheeli decks, and then 1 of each of Black Green, Energy Aggro, Black Green Delirium, and Teamer Marvel. I think, honestly, I was a little surprised to see that few Black Green decks, because I guess people are saying it's a 3-deck format, but it's almost basically just a 2-deck format now.
Yeah, it's starting to feel that way.
No, I mean this field isn't entirely indicative of the entire standard because it's a smaller tournament. So I wasn't really surprised to see it break down that way. So I mean that's not real. That's not really how a larger tournament's going to break down. And I expect like the GPs to be a little bit more diverse. But I think Mardu has definitely established itself as just the best deck at this point. Won the GP and was the European. I forget what it was, the European GP that happened a couple weeks ago.
It's a really great thing that they banned Smuggler's Copter so they could take that deck down. Guess I didn't.
I just because I can't believe just how like I know Heart of Kieran's crazy, but like I don't even know if that's even, like I don't know if it's that or if like it's Gideon that makes it so good, but like we definitely thought it should be tricky to crew that vehicle, and it's just not.
Yeah,
It's just not. It's just incredible.
Watchmen are coming. They're coming for Gideon, man.
I want you like this is where the format has shifted. If you're paying attention, like Mardu has Fatal Push, but like the other decks that could like play Fatal Push aren't good enough anymore. like you have to have Fatal Push and your own Heart of Kieran to be able to win.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, this was definitely an interesting tournament, though. I got to watch a little bit of it. I watched most of the top 4, which was happening on Sunday. I didn't really watch too much of it on the first couple days, but if you want to see some really good matches, or if you're gonna watch one match, watch the finals because it was great.
Yeah, I heard the finals was good. I didn't get to watch anything on Sunday, but I did watch. Like I watched some of the drafts, and like that's actually that was actually nice. Like obviously, watching Magic Online drafts is. It's just some very entertaining. It's very educational as well, and I do enjoy like just watching drafts in general. So being able to watch it through Magic Online is like a really nice way to do so, basically, because you get to clearly see all the packs, and there's like no speculation or anything like that. Like you see what they take, you see how they're building their deck as they go as well. So you kind of get to dive in a little bit deeper in their thought processes because you can see it represented rather than just like pure speculation. So
Right.
and I thought that was good. I think the quality of the commentating overall was great. You got to really see some heavy hitters. Like we said, Reed Duke. You had Patrick Sullivan, which by many people's opinion is the best commentator like you could possibly ever have. And a litany of other like awesome names commentating. So you kind of had the best of the best, but I don't necessarily think you had a consistent like quality to like the actual production. I would say as far as like commentating go, because you can't unify that. Like, you can't have everyone have the same mic, the same internet connection, the same camera, the same backdrop. Like there were variations, going from great to like poor. I really think.
It was definitely weird. I liked and I didn't like the fact that they had the commentators like they were streaming from their own homes, essentially. So, I liked it that they were able to get a bunch of quality commentators because they probably wouldn't have been able to fly all those guys in. It wouldn't really make any sense to have like 6 commentators all in Seattle at the event. They probably would have gotten by with like 3. We'll say, but it was really cool to see. Somebody like Patrick Sullivan, who we all know from the Star City circuit, kind of break out and do some of the Wizard stuff, and hopefully that means maybe we'll see more of that in the future. And if not, that's fine too. But it was, I personally I think he's the best commentator that we have, and him teamed up with like Marshall Sutcliffe was like really interesting, or like him and Patrick Chapin, just because. And we see him normally paired up with Cedric, and like those two are really great together, and they've been doing it for a long time. But I think like when you team up with somebody different, you might get a little bit of different perspective. You might have a little bit of different chemistry. So
yeah,
it was definitely interesting,
and I definitely think that's important. But it's I think my issue with it is just like the consistency of quality, and I think. When you can have that, then this seems like a pretty like interesting and unique way of actually doing commentary for everything. But there's a reason why you want to have people at the tournament, and that's because you can have quality control.
Yeah, I'm firmly in the Morgan camp on this one. I tried turning on a couple times, and like I'm trust me, I want to hear Patrick Sullivan like commentate as well. I love seeing some of the different groupings and teams. I think someone like Sullivan, like the Sullivan-Sutcliffe pairing, as mentioned, I think there's something to like Sutcliffe being so like he's your definite like he's super positive and everything's great, and Sullivan offers sort of a really nice counterpoint to that where he's sort of a little drier and a little more direct in his so it's like whoa this happened, and Sullivan's like well yeah, and it's kind of like I thought you got good teams, but seeing people's bedroom doors while they're commentating on what is the world championship for Magic Online doesn't make sense to me. Seeing everyone in various states of dress, you know what I mean? Like, hey, P. Sullivan here. I just got out of the shower. Give me a second. I'm gonna get dressed and do some. And he, of course, he didn't do anything like that. But what I'm saying is, it has that feel. You said like, oh, Reed Duke had a really nice lamp. Why? Why do I know that? There's no reason I should see that. You know what I mean? They shouldn't. So I love the. There's a prestige element to it. You know what I mean? Like. Of having being dressed in a certain way, of carrying yourself, and they carry themselves just fine. But also then like being professional in the sense of that, like where they're at.
Yeah.
Again the quality, like it doesn't look like a blurry. Like I opened up Twitch to go see some random guy drafting, and it's the same camera view for that guy drafting as it is for the commentators on the MOCS. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean it was definitely. I mean. If you've ever seen, Vintage Super League or anything like that, it was very much like that, where they just had people commenting from their own
and Vintage
computers.
Super League is really cool, but Vintage Super League is
not the World Championship
casual
event.
Stream. Like it is a weekly casual stream. You know what I mean? Like it's an event that's made up. It's the Whose Line Is It Anyway of Magic streams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
no, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying like rather than have like 2 or 3 commentators on site. I would prefer to have a variety of I'd rather have 6 commentators that are remoting in. But like I get what you're saying. Like there's definitely a drop off in the quality and like just the overall perception of it. But like if just from a pure commentary standpoint.
Let's be honest. Like then pay them and fly them in. You flight all the MOCS competitors in. You're giving out $25,000 to first place. Like you want this to be this event. Then fly those people in, do those cool teams, do it like that. You could have 6-person roundtables with those personalities discussing like, that sounds awesome. You know what I mean? Like suggesting that like it's like, well, this is what we could do. It's like I'm sure their plan wasn't to make it seem janky, but it seemed that way at times, despite the high-profile personalities they had. So
All right.
Yeah. The names were there, and like, if this was audio only, like, yeah, maybe you could get by with it, but it's just a whole experience. I don't know. It's just different, and in that I think like you can take those risks with this tournament. Like you can do that, and it won't like make waves necessarily. You'll have people that'll chime in about it, but in the end, like this is still like, even though illustrious tournament, it is still a weird one, and has always been kind of a weird one for WotC and for Magic as a whole, because it's not a GP. It's not, it is a high level tournament that you qualify through solely via Magic Online, and you don't necessarily always have the consistency of like named players being in it. Like sometimes you have a little bit of the up and comers, coming through and participating. So I think it makes sense for them to take risks on how they present this tournament, because it is inherently different from everything else that they do. So I think this was a risk to take, and I think a lot of people have differing opinions about it. It kind of just depends on like what you really take from it. Do you take a quality of commentary over aesthetics, or the opposite? Do you look at aesthetics more than quality of commentary? And I think that Star City Games does a good job of trying to strike a balance between both. And this was just quality of commentary over aesthetics.
I think the problem, though, when you choose quality of... And I'm glad they did. I'll take that as well. But when you're taking it over aesthetics, and then you have the client being what it is, and the issues they have with the client, like, that adds into it as well.
Sure.
So,
yeah. I'm not saying one way is inherently better than the other, but...
I am.
I think that there are variables within this tournament that caused that to kind of not necessarily portray the entire tournament in the best light.
I think they should play the Magic Online Championship Series in paper.
I just want to go back and talk about the top four a little bit.
No.
The one last thing that I want to talk about as far as like presentation, and Dave, you brought this up. They did lean super hard into esports and like esports presentation, and like really, if you've seen any sort of like League of Legends or Halo or anything like that, where there's a huge esports following for it, like any of their like bumpers or their graphics that they had, their packages they had set up was like super esports. Like, we there's this thing we just found out about. It's called esports. Have you seen it? Look at all of it.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. And I didn't think it was bad as far as that goes. I thought like everything they did was like well made. But it was definitely like esports.
Yeah,
It's in the game. Oh, wait, that's not.
not EA Sports. Yeah, it was pretty high quality from that perspective. I just wanted to go back and talk about the top four a little bit. Again, congrats to Raptor. I mean, this is a guy who, what?
I was shaking my head at what you were about to say. Like,
this is a guy who's like wasn't even qualified for all the Pro Tours like 3 weeks ago, and then you won a GP, and now he's qualified for Worlds. So
yeah,
cool.
Easy game, easy life.
did you say he gets platinum too? Right?
Yeah. So he's platinum for the next year. He's qualified for Worlds, like the real Worlds. And then he's qualified for the Mox Championship next year.
He's a lock for Hall of Fame this year, right?
Yeah, he's up for Hall of Fame this year. He's got 5 Pro Tour top 8s, so I mean, I don't know if it's a lock, but I would say he's got a pretty good chance. Yeah.
But yeah.
So I would be shocked if he was not elected in this year.
I'm going to get on that plan. I'm currently qualified for no Pro Tours for this year as well. Can I get into the get platinum and qualify for everything plan?
I gotta say, super nice guy too. Randomly, Jordan and I randomly bumped into him at GP Richmond a couple years ago. I think we were just walking to the site, and he was like, "Oh, do you know like how to get to the site?" And we were just kind of chatting with him the whole way, and just super nice guy, like just pretty down to earth. So really happy for him.
Yeah,
really happy that he's kind of come back. I think for a little while there he was kind of in a lull, but I think he's really applying himself, back to Magic a little bit, and obviously it's showing.
Yeah, get some sweet results.
Yeah, I gotta also say, I was super impressed with Lucas Bohan. he watching him play the four color Saheeli deck, like he was taking lines that I just didn't even see, and it was just like really like if you go back and watch like the top 4 matches that he played, you'd be like, wow, this guy is a master. Like he was playing around everything he needed to play around, and like it was awesome. It was awesome to see. So he obviously came up a little short there, but it was a great finals match. Marcio Carvalho, the current #1 player in the world, kind of showing that it's not really a fluke. We saw him finish second at Worlds. He had a Pro Tour top 8. He's got a top 4 here at the MOCS.
He did sort of limp into the top 4 though. Like his day 2 was real bad.
Yeah, but I mean that's because he had a great day 1. I'll
Right.
agree with that. But I mean Josh had he was 4-3 after day
That's
1,
true.
and then he top.
Did
8.
you see the top 4 profiles? You look at those. Did
No.
you see? Because the top 4 profiles gave like their winning percentages on Moto.
Oh yeah. Oh, and Marcio 0-3 the draft in day
Yeah.
2, which is like that's a shocker. Like a lot of people consider him the best drafter in the world. So
Oh, well, I wanted to say that his profile, like his Moto information, backs that up. Let me make sure I'm confirming here, but he only has like a 56% constructed. No, sorry, 59% constructed win rating, which is the lowest of anybody in the top 4. Oh, but a 69% win percentage in limited. It's almost 70. Like almost like literally what? I mean, like look at the other people top 4 here, including like I'll mention like was it Ryosuke Arasa.
yeah,
He like this is a player who only plays Magic online, has very respectable numbers, but his limited win percentage is only 64%. Like Carvalho devotes it to paper and to this. Like regardless of what you think of the player, like that limited rating is real and great.
yeah, and I wanted to mention Arase as well. I mean, he was probably the least known player in this whole field, and I believe he was the top seed going into the top 8.
I
Or top
believe so.
4.
Top 4, yeah.
So I mean, he really played well, did really well for himself. Came up short, but I mean, it was basically him and like more than likely future Hall of Famer and like #1 player in the world and another Platinum Pro like in the top 4. So he obviously came up just short, but I think he's still something to be proud of.
I appreciate like the Grand Prix / top 8s. Arase's only been to 10.
10 GPs,
10 GPs.
only 1 Pro Tour.
Only 1 Pro Tour. But yeah, that is a fairly impressive result for Arase. So congrats to him and to the rest of the top 4 in the championship.
And
I have to say their jackets sharp,
Yes.
very sharp.
Yes.
I like that logo, very nice.
Yeah.
The crest, oof. Good job, Wizards. Good job. Nice colors too. Got the black and the orange. Like I'm a fan. Good job. That's some good outerwear.
Gotta throw out some condolences to Owen Turdenwald.
Yeah.
He did not his finest moment, but he'll be back. He's too
Hey,
good
you
to
can't
stay
stop
down for
him,
long.
right?
Well, you could stop him in this tournament, but
Fair enough. Just wasn't his time. I guess him and Mike just had like the same sort of weekend.
I don't think we did.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure his event was a bit more prestigious than mine.
What I heard was
got a jacket?
Owen Turdenwald and Mike basically the same player.
Yeah, well,
Roughly the same.
I mean, we have played in the top 8 before,
Yeah.
so does that count
For stakes?
For stakes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost, but we played. So I mean, he got a jacket. I got a foil Emrakul, the Onstorn. I mean, these are pretty similar.
Hey. Yeah.
He was on a movie, a documentary. On this podcast.
True.
The comparisons are endless.
Yeah. I mean.
Or
I'm pretty sure they end right there.
I
but-
think that's actually. Well, no, we both play Magic.
Yeah. It's true.
I've been in the same room with him more than once.
He's in the same
he's
room
on
with
a
him all the
team.
time.
He's on a team with 2 other players, and you're on a podcast with 2 other.
Yes,
other
yes,
people.
and
Yeah.
we have definitely been called the Peach Garden Oath of podcasts. No times,
Never.
So
Ever.
it's pretty cool.
Exactly 0 times. Correct. I don't even know what our oath name would be because you have Peach Garden Oath and you have Pork Bun
Really?
Oath, of course.
Oh yeah.
Ours would have to be regional, I imagine. So it'd be like Buckeye Oath.
Oh,
Yeah, it's terrible.
I'm good. I don't need
Yeah,
that one. I don't need
exactly.
that one in my life.
No one wants
They
that.
do hold up that Illuminati sign though when they do like the Buckeye thing. So those sweet hands.
It's true.
Maybe it's just a receiver catching the football, but it looks like the Illuminati. are
Illuminati
confirmed.
confirmed, man. They're everywhere.
Oath of Illuminati.
Well, that's pretty much it for the competitive segment, and pretty much it for the rest of our show. So we have our typical wrap-up stuff. So what's happened over the weekend, guys? Well, we, of course, have GP New Jersey and GP Barcelona, or Barcelona, if you are going to pronounce it with the proper tongue.
Thank you, Mike Tyson.
No, that's... I hate you.
Go to Barcelona.
You're terrible. Terrible.
I'm sorry for that horrible sound that came out of my throat. I'm still battling this lovely cold, and my voice was going back and forth. So
Sound better than last week, though.
I'm better than last week, but that sound was just horrific, and I know it was. So
And GP New Jersey is going to be streamed via Twitch.
So you can watch all 500 players play because the other
yeah,
players aren't gonna-
The other 300 plus got dropped.
yeah. Hopefully there aren't too many players that miss out on this because of this stupid consent form
I
thing.
really think that the community itself is like, it's trying real hard to get ahead of it, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I got nothing.
I guess
We did our best. We did our best.
Yeah, I guess they're gonna have like computers that you're able to use on site on Friday. So if you do get to the site on Friday,
Hey,
go ahead and do that.
good on
If you
'em.
have no other means to do it, I mean, if you don't have a smartphone, I guess.
Yeah.
Then how are you listening to this podcast? But I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. I guess through the speakers of your phone. And in that case, then a lot of other people are listening to it. So hello, other casual listeners of At Your End Step. I'm kind of sorry you might know this person that doesn't have headphones and now listens to podcasts out loud. But I do hope that you've enjoyed our content, regardless of whether you play Magic or not. We do try to be entertaining and bring some comedy. Hey, remember that joke, that Inspector Gadget joke that we had last week? Wasn't that great? That was great. That was great.
good times.
Constable
Good
contraption.
times.
It's so good. It's still funny today.
It really is still funny today.
So we also have Star City Games Dallas over the weekend. It's going to be Modern. So this is going to be another popular event. We know Modern is a fan favorite, the people's tournament, as it were. And of course, across both these tournaments, we do have metagame gurus being there in attendance, and we get to see what their new team is going to be. Again, that's pretty much everything happening over the weekend from our collection. And we do want to, of course, give a shout out to our lovely sponsors, Comic Town and BCW. To find out more about Comic Town, you can do a quick search for Comic Town Gaming Center on Facebook. And also BCW, you can do BCW Supplies via Facebook is how you can go find their page and like it. Again, they do have a bunch of lovely products, and Comic Town coincidentally sells those lovely products. So if you are local, definitely check out Comic Town and inquire about some of the BCW supplies that they have on stock. And if not, you can always check out BCWsupplies.com is BCW's actual website. All right. And then if you want to contact us, you can search for us on Facebook. We are at Your End Step. Or on Twitter, do a quick search for Your End Step. And then when you add us, it's at Your End Step because we're clever. And we also have an email address. It's at yourendstep@gmail.com. You can download the show through various mediums. iTunes, through your Android phone via the Google Music Store, and through MTG Cast, which is a great place to find your new favorite, well, your other favorite Magic the Gathering show. And they have tons of shows on there spanning from Commander to Modern to Standard to Finance to like literally anything you could ever want to do within the Magic community. But that is going to be pretty much everything for this week. We do appreciate your time, and we'll catch you next time. Have a great one. Bye.